Hello, and welcome to this Easy HOA accounting training video. In this video, we'll be going over a couple of the reports that can be generated in the accounting software. I feel these reports are good to use during your HOA board meetings so that the board is familiar with the reports and the financial statements of the HOA. So without further ado, how to get to these reports is you click on accounting and then reports. And from here, I'm actually going to duplicate my tab so I can have two of the reports open at the same time. So we'll duplicate. On this one, I'm going to run the balance sheet. And on this one, I'm going to run the profit and loss or the income statement. For this video, I want to run it through the end of April of 2023 because that's what I have information for. And we'll do the same here. And update the report. Okay. So on the balance sheet side of things, this report is a statement of what the HOA owns, any loans that they have, and how much retained earnings they have or built up income that they haven't spent, whether that's reserved for a special project or something else. And there's two different balance sheets that you can have. There's the summary, which has a very consolidated look at what your assets are. You'll see that the total assets of this HOA are $7,073.36. And then all of that, there's no loans that this HOA has, so it's all in the retained earnings. So the total liabilities and equity is $7,073.36, same as the total assets. If I want a little bit more of a detailed view, I can click on the Details tab and show that my bank accounts is with this bank. My accounts receivable is this balance. My prepaid expenses are what made up my other current assets balance, and then nothing on the liabilities or the equity side other than the retained earnings, which is the retained profit through April 30th, which is the date of my report. And so that's what the balance sheet looks like in the default views. What I also like to do is I like to compare to a prior period so that I can see how the cash or the assets change from one period to the next. And usually I look at what it looked like the previous month. And get the date in there right. There we go. Update the report. So now I can see what this first column shows me what January through April looks like, and this one shows me what January through March looks like. So I can see my assets, essentially my bank account and my accounts receivable changed by $4,703.43. And that's reflected in the retained earnings as well. Then I also have the profit and loss statement, and there's three default views. Summary, which is shows the different type of revenue accounts or income accounts, and then all the operating expenses and the categories. They're alphabetized here, so you can see in total what the year to date looks like when I run it from January through April. You can also get the details, which essentially is the general ledger look at each of the accounts. So it'll show you each. If I bounce back to the summary, there's $34,572.64 in the members' assessments. If I wanted to see the detail of that, I could go through the members' assessments and see how categorically they were put in there and how many transactions were in there to get to the $34,572.64. So that's the general ledger view. Typically for a board meeting, I would just run this for 1 month at a time, so you're not looking at 12 months of activity or however many months. And then this report, this monthly view, is probably my favorite view because you can see from 1 month to the next what your expenses were, what your revenue was. And again, these are all done on the cash basis because the accounting's done from your bank feeds, so actual money coming in and out of your bank accounts. And one of the things I would recommend for your board meetings is this report in the format that it's in, as well as the balance sheet, comparative balance sheet in this type of format. The reason for that is I can see on the balance sheet that my total assets changed by $4,703.43. I may want to know, either as a board member of the HOA or just as a member of the HOA, why that happened. Why do we have $4,703 more than we had in the previous months? Are we charging too much for HOAs? Or are we saving up for a reserve or something? And understanding how these two tie together is important. So we can see, okay, they increased by $4,703 on the income statement. We collected a lot of member assessments, and our expenses were down. But in total, the net profit for that month was $4,703.43, which agrees to the change. It doesn't always do that. Sometimes if you have loan payments or a purchase of assets or something, the net profit may not agree to the change in assets, but in this instance it does, and that's important to be able to say why. One scenario in this example might be that we had more profit this month than the previous months because this was a spring month and we have increased expenses in the summer months, such as landscaping or increased utilities from running ACs in the clubhouse or whatever. And so you expect to have some months where your expenses are higher than what you collect, and other months where you collect more than what your expenses are. And so that's how you might be able to explain why you had a net profit for that month. Because again, HOAs aren't necessarily designed to make significant amounts of profit. They're designed to kind of cover whatever the HOA goals are, whether that's saving up a reserve for a special project like building a clubhouse or putting in a pool or whatever you might have. And so as long as we're having a profit here because we're expecting to have other months that have higher expenses, then that's a good explanation to give to your residents and your HOA board. So those are the two reports I recommend. You can also, within these reports, you can export them to CSV or to PDF. If you don't like the default view that you get from a PDF, then you can export it to CSV and format it in Excel or another spreadsheet program to whatever formatting you like. So that's how to run a profit and loss and a balance sheet report. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll do our best to address any questions that you might have. And I'll see you in an upcoming video about how to post an adjusting journal entry or recategorize transactions that you've already categorized, along with some other topics that we plan to cover in the near future. Thank you.